So boring game. No end game. No challenge. Difficult level equals 0 brain. Itemization is so stupid lame. This is definitely the worst Diablo game ever created. I'm calling my bank tomorrow to get a refund on the money I spent. I suggest anyone who feels the same does so as well. A scam game from a hypocritical company, for which oppressing and deceiving players is the same as breathing. Das Spiel ist so einfach kaputt gepatcht. Danke, Blizzard. Diablo IV is a singularly American experience, where you commit genocide by standing in one place and doing nothing. Enjoy your explosive powers as you vaporize hordes of enemies completely enough to become a war criminal and receive a stern letter from the United Nations with regard to your indefensible activities. While other games might challenge you with a difficult boss, Diablo IV throws hell's refugees at you until you crack under international pressure. My mechanical and juvenile thesis statement is as follows. Over the course of this discussion, I'm going to address both the ins and outs of what makes Diablo IV so enjoyable for veterans and newcomers alike. Meet your fantastic classes, all of whom exhibit 3 important traits. They're simple. You won't find any witch doctors, Amazons, crusaders, bank tellers, or cosmetologists. There's a barbarian, necromancer, sorcerer, rogue, and druid. That last one might be a slight curveball for Diablo, but these classes are all stuff you've seen if you've played a video game. They've endured for so long because people love how easy they are to use effectively. Next, classes are balanced. No class is especially weaker than others, and some of the promotional material compares each class's strength to that of a boss. Enjoy total catharsis as you leverage devastating suites of attacks against scores of brave or depressed enemies, and turn bosses the size of your mom into Baba Ganoush. Between the sorcerer's ear-piercing fireballs and the rogue's impossibly wide volleys of arrows, you'll have plenty of opportunities to become a Rube Goldberg machine of death and destruction. Finally, classes are distinct. The class you choose will have a major impact on how you play. A pyromancer offers devastating AoE by taking advantage of chain reactions, but he struggles with single targets. In contrast, a rogue handles powerful single targets exceptionally well, reserving his ultimate ability for large groups. The rogue is also the best at dying. Unfortunately, the DPS of a corpse is 0. These 3 qualities let you have fun and feel powerful no matter which class you choose. Sorcerers and rogues are a little beyond toothpicks running around with nuclear weapons, but I wouldn't call these classes ineffective. I'd call them lightweight. They're the 2 I've played the most, so you're going to hear a lot about them in this video. Casters need to be smart, warriors need to be strong, and rangers need to be dexterous, but what about other stats we're all guilty of neglecting? If you hover over a stat in your inventory, you'll summon 1 or 2 bullet points that tell you exactly what an investment in the stat does for your class. For example, if I hover over my sorcerer's stats, the game tells me that intelligence is a primary stat responsible for direct damage with skills, but willpower is also important, because it determines how quickly I generate mana, and how much damage I deal when I overpower an enemy. Overpowering is sort of like landing a critical hit. Even strength has its place for sorcerers, contributing to total armor rating. Another primary reason why all stats are important is that there are only 4. Strength, dexterity, intelligence, and willpower, all of which can be core stats depending on your class. As you work on your build, your core stat will be the most important aspect, but the game will encourage you to keep other stats in mind too. First and foremost, transmogs are unequivocally sick, especially for rogues. With several color suites and the coolest sets of armor in gaming, you look like an absolute guitar solo as you reduce legions of demons to a fine bisque. Also, as long as you use the same color, all gear looks like it goes together. If you borrow armor from different sets, nothing about your ensemble will look out of place. Apart from cosmetics, visit the occultist to make your own legendary weapons by picking a new effect from a catalog. This vendor also allows you to enchant gear, which is to swap a perk for a more build-appropriate one. Accordingly, a pyromancer whose helmet increases frost damage can enchant that helmet into increasing fire damage. If you're content with your gear's perks, you can simply upgrade your armor to take those perks further. Give blacksmiths or jewelers some money along with costly resources, and these vendors will give you better gear. Finally, gems are much less Byzantine than they were in Diablo III. There are only 5 tiers of them instead of 11. None of them increase stats, so you actually have to think about what you're doing. In jewelry, they offer resistance to different elements. In weapons, they augment attacks. In armor, they augment defense. For example, my sorcerer has diamonds in jewelry for slight resistance to all elements, emeralds and armor for thorns, and topaz and weapons to increase the damage of my basic skill. Altering the qualities of legendary gear and selecting different gems, you can do plenty to hone your build as finely as possible. This open world isn't too different from a linear world united by several acts, and that's its strength. As with Diablo III, there are certain logical steps to take throughout Diablo IV's world, which is similarly scattered with well-designed dungeons, but the overworld has a bit more to offer, including shrines that increase a stat by 2 points for every character in the same server. You also don't need to worry about fog of war in the overworld, so perfectionists like me don't waste time. As for side quests, they're tolerably rewarding at worst and genuinely interesting at best. One side quest chain involves a shifty governor by the name of Linden, who sends demons to Vietnam. Another quest entreats you to make tea for a lesbian after you rescue her from really nice, sad guys with katanas. How nice of you to include LGBTQIA+ characters in your video game, Blizzard. I almost forgot you were in bed with China. The point is, this open world's content is a breeze that can easily elevate you to level 50, if not 60. Remember all those Paragon levels from Diablo III that increased your movement speed by a fraction of a percent? Blizzard isn't putting clientele through that anymore because MMO designers know how much everyone loves to be at the top. After all, you can pay real money to reach the level cap in World of Warcraft. Blizzard has streamlined the journey so you can play your $70 game as little as possible. In Diablo IV, there are no more than 50 Paragon levels, each of which offers a substantial reward. Not only does each level offer 4 points to spend and a comprehensive and customizable skill tree, but most nodes in this skill tree increase a stat by 5 units. A Paragon point in Diablo IV is 5 times as valuable as one in Diablo III because of the Paragon tree's design, and each Paragon level is 4 times as valuable as one in Diablo III because each level provides 4 points. There's also more to Diablo IV's Paragon levels than the most general passives. The Sorcerer can earn a node that increases the power of conjuration spells, and the Rogue can purchase nodes that increase poison damage with weapons. There's more gear to loot in Diablo IV's post-game than there are bases to clear in an entire Far Cry game. You can't feel like you're grinding when there's this much to do. Run a nightmare dungeon either with some friends or by your miserable self, kill a world boss, participate in a Legion event, learn about quantum mechanics, unlock Helltide chests, turn in quests at the Tree of Whispers. Epstein didn't kill himself. 9/11 was orchestrated by the CIA. Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer. You'll sell most of the legendary gear you earn from each activity, but who doesn't love the feeling of finding something that moves a build in the right direction? Regular people. If post-game events start to become stale, you can always explore the open world full of side quests that don't appear until the post-game. If you're familiar with the Diablo franchise, you may recall Diablo III's seasons, which are sets of challenges and benefits that exist for a specific amount of time. Seasons are also in Diablo IV. The main menu confronts players with an option to create a normal character or a seasonal character who becomes a normal character at the end of the season. Unlike Diablo III, Diablo IV actually recommended me to make a seasonal character, so for the first time I did, and I loved it. There was a whole quest chain after the main campaign. I was able to equip powers to be even less humane toward demons. There were more post-game events for me to enjoy. A season is essentially a free expansion pack that everybody can access for no more than 3 months. What happens at the end of the season? Not much. You keep your character, but you lose any special powers you've enjoyed during the season. Your character remains OP either way. All I'm trying to say is, please get Diablo IV. I need to fill my clan with people who can help me complete activities that are clearly designed for groups, and I'm not friends with anybody who plays this wonderful game. If you hate Diablo IV because of $28 cosmetics, you can always stare at boobs in Overwatch. Don't kill the same thing all the time, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.